every day, our lives.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now the rest of our stories. As part of palliatives to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal, the governor of Niger State, Mohammed Umar Bago, has declared that his government has purchased 200 compressed natural gas power buses for transportation within the state. Governor Bago, who spoke at a dinner organized by members of the House of Representatives Press Corps, also said the state government will soon sign a memorandum of understanding with a rice mill factory in Kano State for direct purchase of paddy rice produced in the state. The governor, who was a former member of House of Representatives, also revealed that his administration has awarded contract for the construction of about 566 kilometers of roads across the state.
We are very ambitious as a government. You are very right. We have already purchased 200 luxurious buses, CNG buses, to commute free. Students going to school and subsidized for civil servants in the state. 100 will commute Abuja and Suleja daily. 50 will be in Mina, and others will be spread between Kontobora and Bida. First, this is the first piece. Secondly, we've awarded contracts for construction of roads in Niger State, 566 kilometers of road, and we've started groundbreaking. So we're so ambitious, and we're very sure by the grace of God we'll be there.
Governor Mohammed Umar Bago, Executive Governor Niger State, has lamented the backwardness of the state. He said Niger State has no reason to be poor considering its natural endowment. He assured that under his leadership, the resources will be adequately harnessed for the benefit of citizens of the state.
Niger State is not supposed to be poor. We have seen the comparative advantage of this state. So much money is out there, and the only way we can attract carbon credit is when we first aggregate our forests and trade them in exchange for the emission of multinational companies. People don't even understand what is called green economy. As agrarian as we are, Niger State has for free the largest congregation of shea trees in the world, largest in the world. And this is wild tree. No any single effort is done to plant them. It's an endowment by God. These things nobody knows about. The idea our women are cutting them down in firewood. People need to understand that we need to protect our forests, to protect them from deforestation, and also promote Afro. We have two major rivers in Niger State. One on the left side, River Niger, and on the right side, River Kaduna. It's the only state with this endowment. You can navigate from Baru until you get to the Atlantic.
The governor called on the media to collaborate with the state and promote positive report about Niger State. From Taraba comes the report that Taraba State Police Command has confirmed the abduction of an inspector of the state, inspector of police in the state. The kidnapped inspector, Emmanuel Yaro, was abducted from his farm by suspected kidnappers on Sunday. The police public relations officer, Abdullahi Usman, said the kidnapped officer was serving with the Kumi division of the state command. He said the inspector had earlier in the day taken some workers to his farm in Gidan Idi village of the area before he was whisked away shortly after buying food for his workers. He said only the inspector was abducted, dismissing reports that the pastor, his wife, and 6 other persons were abducted in the state. While reiterating the command's readiness to clamp down on hoodlums, making life unbearable for the people of the state, he warned social media users to always verify their information with the relevant authorities before posting them. The abduction of this inspector comes barely a week after Governor Abu Kefas urged the security chiefs to deploy more operatives and establish a naval base in Taraba. President Bola Tinubu has recommended public-private financing for Nigerian universities. The president added that with the right mix of public and private financing, Nigerian universities will get the required resources they desperately need to elevate the level of university education in the country. He made this known in Ilorin, Kwara State, capital at the 37th and 38th convocation ceremonies of the University of Ilorin. Represented by the Minister of State for Education, Yusuf T. Sanunu, the president called on corporate bodies, communities, and individuals to support public universities. Tinubu added that removal of fee subsidy was done with the best intention of promoting a more sustainable, efficient energy landscape for our nation, as well as ensuring that the development of our nation is not in any way stratified. Earlier, Uniform Vice-Chancellor Professor Wahab Egbewele hailed the president's commitment to change the fortunes of tertiary education. He appreciated the recent gesture of the president and believed that all the other outstanding issues will be resolved, and that not only increase commitment and productivity in the system, but also achieve the repositioning agenda. An undergraduate student of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Abdullahi Ibrahim, has been apprehended by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Bauchi State for the alleged mother of a 17-year-old secondary school student. Elebayo Oyejide, the Corps commandant, revealed that the 500-level student of veterinary medicine was taken into custody in Misan local government area of the state on suspicion of being involved in the teenager's death. He announced this development to the press in Bauchi. According to him, the disease was discovered wrapped in a cloth and abandoned at Museu bypass. He explained that on October 20, the lifeless body of Usman was located and taken to General Hospital, Misau, where he was declared dead and handed over to his family for burial. The commandant added that upon receiving this information, the command initiated an extensive investigation into the incident by dispatching a highly capable intelligence team to Misau. Oyejide further revealed that through their investigation efforts, they uncovered a chart history between Ibrahim and the deceased Usman. And from Adamawa comes a report that Adamawa State High Court has fixed November 6 for the arraignment of suspended Resident Electoral Commissioner Hadu Arewa Yunusa. Hudu, the REC in Adamawa up to the April 16, 2023 governorship election result coalition in the state is to be arraigned on charges that include announcement of false electoral result, violating the oath of neutrality, breach of duty, disorderly conduct at election, inciting disturbance, and impersonating a public servant. Recall that Hudu had on April 16 announced the result of the election, declaring Senator Aishatu Binani of All Progressive Congress as winner, while results were yet to be duly collated. He was immediately suspended by INEC, which went ahead to complete collation and to announce incumbent governor and candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Amadou Fintiri, as the winner. Hudu was earlier scheduled for arraignment on July 27, 2023, but he did not turn up, prompting the court presided over by Justice Benjamin Lawan to adjourn the case for the third time. On the last adjournment date on Monday, however, the court, unable to sit, communicated the new November 6 date to the parties involved. The court specifically asked INEC to arrange to arraign his suspended rec to answer for charges against him. Joint security team comprising the military police department of state services, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and vigilante members have neutralized one suspected bandit and rescued 3 abducted persons. The operation was conducted in Kanzama Forest, Bunza local government area of Kebbi State. Malam Yahaya Sarki, Special Assistant to Kebbi, Governor of Media and Publicity, said in a statement issued in Birin, Kebbi on Monday. He said that the operation followed the assurance given to cargo communities in Bunza local government area by Governor Nasser Idris when he paid a visit to the area on Saturday. The governor at an emergency security council meeting ordered a joint operation to go after the bandits and the provision of adequate security to the affected villages. The governor also directed adequate logistics to the joint security team. He called for deployment of more security personnel to complement ongoing efforts to bolster security and protect lives and property in the area and across the state. According to Seriki, the governor saluted the gallant security personnel for their effort and pledged to provide all necessary support for them to make the state safe. Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the petition by the presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, seeking to void the declaration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as winner of the 2023 presidential election. Justice John Nyangokoro, who led a 7-man panel of the justices of the court in Monday's proceedings, announced reservation of the final judgment after taking arguments from lawyers on the matter. Mr. Okoro said parties in the matter will be communicated as soon as the judgment date is fixed. Meanwhile, Atiku Abubakar on Monday at the Supreme Court insisted that President Bola Tinubu must be disqualified from the 2023 presidential election. Atiku maintained that Tinubu was not constitutionally qualified to stand for the election at the time he did. Similarly, the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the appeal by P2B and the Labour Party against the September 6 judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court, which affirmed the victory of President Bola Tinubu in the last presidential election. Justice Okoro, who led a 7-member panel that heard the appeal, said parties will be notified when the judgment is ready. Lawyer to the appellants, Levi Ozoku, while adopting his written briefs, prayed the court to allow the appeal and grant the relief sought. Abubakar Mohammed for INEC, Wole Olani Peku for Tinubu, and Vice President Kashim Shettima and Akin Olajuni for APC urged the court to dismiss the appeal for lacking in merit. In the meantime, in a dramatic turn of events, the Allied People's Movement at the Supreme Court dramatically withdrew its petition, challenging the nomination of President Bola Tinubu for the last presidential election. The party had said Kashim Shettima, who later became a vice presidential candidate to Tinubu, allegedly engaged in double nominations, hence making Tinubu's candidacy unlawful and unconstitutional. The party held that the withdrawal of the Kabiru Masari as initial vice president candidate and placeholder was unknown to any law in the country. However, at Monday's proceedings, counsel to APM, Chukuma Machiku Ume, was put on questioning the case. Justice John Inyang Okoro, who threw several questions at Ume reminded him that the Supreme Court had earlier delivered a judgment to the effect that issues of candidate nomination for election is an internal affair of the party. The presiding justice drew his further attention to the facts that nothing will be agreeable to the APM even if judgment is given in his favor. Following no objections from the Wole Olanipeku, who stood for Tinubu Independent Electoral Commission, represented by Abubakar Mahmoud and Akin Olajimi for All Progressive Congress, Justice John Okoro dismissed the appeal. The dismissal was done with no cost against APM and its lead lawyer. President Bola Tinubu has assured that the era of industrial actions in the nation's academic environment has come to an end as the administration's students' loan scheme commences January next year. President Tinubu gave the assurance on Monday while speaking at the 29th edition of the annual Nigerian Economic Summit anchored by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Tinubu, who spoke extensively on his administration plans to stabilize the economy with the collaboration of all stakeholders, especially the private sector, also noted the need to immediately initiate a sustainable, credible scheme, which he said will aid an effective anti-corruption campaign. He emphasized that there must be consumer credit scheme which will have to come to effect as soon as possible. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project urged the Federal Court in Lagos, Federal High Court in Lagos to stop the House of Representatives from procuring and taking delivery of 360 sports utility vehicles for its members, pending the hearing and determination of the application for an injunction filed by the civil society organization. Recall that the National Assembly, in the phased process of procuring and distributing operational vehicles to 360 members of the House, valued at 57.6 billion in the coming weeks and months. On his part, SIRAP filed an application seeking an order of interim injunction restraining National Assembly from procuring, taking delivery and distributing the SUVs to their members, pending the hearing and determination of the national notice for an order of interlocutory injunction filed simultaneously in this suit. Reacting to the development on blowout, public affairs analyst Reverend Humphrey Rim criticized the lawmakers for such outrageous frivolities in the face of economic hardship Nigerians are passing through. Urged them to put the interests of Nigerians first.
It's annoying. It's annoying when you know what people are going through in this country and you read these things on the pages of gospel. This still takes us back to what we were discussing about the Tantita thing, the militia. Do you know why the House of Representatives cannot speak against this? Against the Kampolo contract? Is this. They can't do that. Because the first thing is E57.6 billion. This is not money for everything. It's car. This is a utility. This is not money. This is not money. This is not like there is a thing they are doing. What do you do with your salary and the provisions they've made for you? So, as long as I'm concerned, God will not continue to keep silence. As much as for today, part of my drive is to bring to the awareness of people who've left politics in the hands of oppressed people who eventually are given power now. You know, the most dangerous thing you can do is to give power to an oppressed person. It will only reveal oppression. So what we are seeing today is revealed oppression by reason of position and
Humphrey Stream further stated that such lavish lifestyles, as shown by lawmakers, partly influence youths negatively in pursuit of wealth.
Masses them more. Why would you write this kind of thing and then the militia young men will not begin to look for a way to get their own? Because they also want to get there. They also want to get there so that they can also take their own court. So in a nutshell, just like Vivian said, it's in a country. I don't want to believe it's not a country. But unfortunately, we have people who are not part of this country who wants to ruin this country for their personal gains, and that their children are not even interested.
Federal Executive Council has given approval for the creation of Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation Trust Fund. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Edu, stated this while briefing State House correspondents shortly after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Monday. She said the trust fund is to enable the federal government respond promptly to humanitarian situations in the country. According to her, the federal government hopes to raise at least $5 billion annually into the trust fund. It explained that the funds will be sourced from the federal government, private and international organizations, as well as well-meaning individuals. She also assured that state government will be carried along in the project. On the care of the elderly, the minister said FEC took a decision to rectify the protocol for the protection of the rights of old people in the country, in line with the African Charter. Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease and Prevention Control, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, has called for increased budgetary allocation to prevent, detect, and respond to public health threats in the country. Adetifa made the call in an interview with newsmen in Abuja on this 2-year anniversary in office. The Director General said dedicated funding for the implementation of health security will increase capacities in responding to public health threats. The NCDC boss also noted the need to strengthen subnational support, considering the federated structure of the country. Also called for continuous surveillance and monitoring to identify and respond to diseases like Lassa fever as the country moves towards the season, as dry season in November. He acknowledged the challenge of brain drain exists both internally and externally in the public health sector in the country. Federal government of Nigeria has won legal cases against Process and Industrial Developments Limited in a London court on Monday. The judgment was delivered after 5 years of legal frameworks which have finally been to the advantage of Nigeria, as the court quashed the $11 billion arbitration award in favor of P&ID in a ruling delivered by email. Robin Knowles, the Justice of Commercial Courts of England and Wales, upheld Nigerians' prayer on the ground that ill-fated gas processing contract was obtained by fraud. The Business and Property Court in London delivered the judgment in a case between the federal government of Nigeria and Process and Industrial Development Limited. The ruling came after the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Benga Komoflafe, urged the bid winners for the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program to hasten site development. Meanwhile, the federal government, alongside its partners, has begun the deployment of tiny bank tankers for the transportation of crude oil through the creeks of the Niger Delta, following a protracted inability to fix the often vandalized pipelines in the region. In a March trial at the court, Nigeria alleged that the contract was secured through dishonest means that included bribery and perjury, and that the arbitration award, which has now risen to $11 billion because of interest, should be quashed. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu applauds today's judgment rendered by Judge Robin Knowles of the Business and Property Court in London, awarding a landmark victory to the federal government of Nigeria over a firm known as Process and Industry Development Limited. The following judge Knowles' dismissal of the $11.5 billion value of the award plus accumulated interest, previously won by P&D over the failed 2010 deal to allegedly build a gas processing plant on the grounds that the award was obtained by fraud. President Tinubu commends the UK court for prioritizing the merits of the case above all considerations. Ajorin Gelere, special advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, in a statement, said the landmark judgment proves exclusively that the nations will no longer be held hostage by economic conspiracies between private firms and solitarily corrupt officials who conspire to extort and indebt the very nations they swear to defend and protect. President Bola Tinubu has said that $1 trillion Nigerian economy is possible by 2026, and a $3 trillion economy is possible within this decade, noting that Nigeria can do it with double-digit, inclusive, sustainable, and competitive growth. This was as he allayed the concerns of the business community, assuring them that crucial plans are on their way to improve foreign exchange liquidity. Declaring the 29th Nigerian Economic Summit open in Abuja, President Bola Tinubu added that he is confident that by working closely with the private sector, financing and $3 trillion national infrastructure stock can be achieved in 10 years and not 300 years. The President said the construction of mega cities in every geopolitical zone of the size and scale of Lagos must not take 6 decades because it can be achieved in 1 decade, emphasizing that a fully networked and connected Nigeria by rail, gas, fiber optics, and road network can be constructed in less than 20 years, with thriving industrial zones in every geopolitical zone of Nigeria before 2030.
My government has introduced ZENFRA, measures to resuscitate the economy, including 500 billion naira intervention to support small-scale businesses and the agricultural sector. By January 2024, the new student loan program must commence. To the future of our children and students, we are saying no more strikes. There must be consumer credit. The scheme we have to come to effect as soon as possible. A $1 trillion economy is possible. By year 2026.
With more than 133 million multidimensionally poor Nigerians, the NSG boss, Niyi Yusuf, said a multi-trillion-dollar economy growth trajectory will urgently need certain actions, including microeconomic stabilization program supported by aggressively scaled national security efforts to halt all efforts of syndicated and organized crime around crude oil and solid minerals, a made in Nigeria agenda.
To all forms of syndicated and organized crime around crude oil and solid minerals. 2. A made in Nigeria agenda. To make in Nigeria, however, 2 striding drivers must be put in place. First, a national emergency energization program to ensure easy access to stable, predictable, and affordable electricity supply. Second is the creation of a national infrastructure corridor development program that will ensure an integrated linkage and logistics network that will link value chains to sea, land, and airports. Three is a national job creation plan that drives the creation of huge volume of high-quality jobs.
Rotimi Adewuyi report that the annual Nigerian Economic Summit is organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has appealed to governors in Nigeria to delegate relevant and key roles to their deputies to give them a good sense of belonging. Senator Akume was speaking at the summit for 7 deputy governors in Nigeria held in Abuja, organized by the Forum of Former Deputy Governors of Nigeria. Correspondent Rotimi Adewuyi reports.
Recently, news of rancor between governors and their deputies is on the increase. This summit for serving deputy governors in Nigeria is targeted to bridge the gap causing this fracas. Senator George Akume, who was represented by Mr. Simeon Tiungu, a director in the SGF, said a robust and cordial relationship can be established and sustained if both parties can realize, as contained in the Constitution, that the governor is the chief accounting officer and will be held responsible for any lapses in the government of a state.
Once our participants of this summit can imbibe this huge responsibility placed on the governors, they will have no problem with accepting their own roles as co-pilots to realize that the success of governance vision, Kumajanda, has direct bearing on their success, and that is capable of propelling them to greater heights, either politically or otherwise. It is my firm conviction that if our deputy governors truly understand the stark reality of the quantum of challenges of the governors, they will not hesitate to do all they can to ensure that the right ambience for the cultivation of a harmonious, rancor-free, and mutual relationship within them is there, which will be very healthy for the development of their states. I would also like to appeal to the governors to find it expedient to delegate some relevant and key roles to their deputies, as this will give them a good sense of belonging.
In his address, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, who was represented by his deputy chairman South, Honorable Ima Enoku, called for a constitutional role for deputy governors.
I am happy that you, the deputy governors, had decided to come together and form yourself into a forum and embark on this advocacy. As you create awareness, as you meet people and talk to leaders of our country, there is need to constitutionally give rules to the deputy governors. If we give roles to the deputy governors in the Constitution, it will cut the barest minimum the oppression they are suffering. Because when a governor knows that these are assigned roles to the deputy governor, I wouldn't think he will trample upon it or he will demean those functions.
While the chairman of the Forum of Former Deputy Governors of Nigeria, Chris Akomas, in his remarks said the gathering is focused on ensuring that the crisis between governors and their deputies are put to a stop.
We come to the fore, majorly to share our experiences, to look at the options to ensure that all these crises that happen would be eliminated, if not completely, reasonably. And Our patron, the former governor of Kano State, he is the national chairman of APC, a very strong member of this forum, launched a book last year, and in that book, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Gandhi rightly posited that citizens of states should not be made to suffer because of disagreements between people they have elected to serve them.
The fallout of the summit commits to chart a constitutional role for deputy governors that will spell out their active roles and involvement in government, advising them to turn in good ideas that will make them indispensable. From Abuja, Rotimi Adewi, ATN News.
The Nigerian currency, now on business news, the Nigerian currency has continued its depreciation trend against the dollar in the foreign exchange market. A bureau de change operator in Wuse Zone 4, Dayabu Mistila, said the naira exchanged for 1,160 per dollar at the parallel market on Monday morning, added that the situation is difficult to predict. Meanwhile, at the FMDQ market on Friday, the naira closed at 827 kobo per dollar. The development comes weeks after the Central Bank of Nigeria lifted forex restrictions on rice, cement, and 41 other items. The Apex Bank had claimed that the move would halt the pressure on naira and the forex. However, an impact is yet to be felt as the nation's currency slumps against the dollar. Because that since the floating of naira on June 14, the naira had continued to depreciate against the dollar at the forex market. Now, foreign news. World Health Organization has urged Israel to withdraw its evacuation order for hospitals in North Gaza. WHO spokesman Tariq Jasenevich said on Monday that there are patients who are there that cannot simply be moved. Many are on mechanical ventilators. Added that there are also newborns and incubators, people in unstable conditions. The spokesman says so far 4 trucks carrying surgical and dressing materials as well as medicines for chronic illnesses have been brought into Gaza through the Rafah border crossing. More trucks are already on the Egyptian side, but so far there are no security guarantees that the supplies can be brought in. Now on entertainment, actress Tonto Dike has officially decamped to the Real All Progressive Congress. She led the opposition of African Democratic Congress for the governing APC. Tonto Dike was the deputy governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress in Rivers State for the 2023 election. It was gathered that the actress will be officially unveiled by the APC National Women Leader, Dr. Mary Alile, at the National Secretariat in Abuja. Now to sports news. Confederation African Football has unveiled the official match ball for the 2023 African Cup of Nations. The official match ball is named after Ivorian legendary forward Laurent Pokou. The unveiling is yet another milestone in the countdown to the official kickoff of the competition. The official ball, Pokou, features the 3 main colors of Côte d'Ivoire flag, white, orange, and green, while incorporating the latest technology that will revolutionize the game on the continent and beyond. The 2023 AFCON will run from January 13 to February 11, 2024, in the city of Abidjan, Bokake, Kogo, San Pedro, and Yamoussoukro. Host Cote d'Ivoire will take on the Jotus of Guinea-Bissau in the ongoing fixture of Asa Ouattara Stadium. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers State Police Command arrest suspected car snatchers. Lagos State shuts Alabama International Market. Court reserves judgment on Peter Obi's appeal. Naira depreciates against dollar, and Danish Deputy Prime Minister resigns. We brought a report that Tunde Dike joins APC, dumps ADC, and CAF unveils official match ball for AFCON 2023. My name is Bon Woke. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for other programs.